Jax's revenge domain. I felt my stomach drop through the floor as the words left Brad Thornton's mouth. Time seemed to slow as I watched his lips curl into that smirk I'd grown to despise over the past 3 years. We're restructuring commissions. Yours is now 1% instead of 10%. The bile rose in my throat. The $5.2 million deal I'd just closed, the largest in company history, would now earn me $52,000 instead of $520,000. The difference wasn't just money, it was my future. I'd already mentally allocated that commission, paying off the last of my daughter's college loans, finally replacing Susan's 15-year-old Honda, maybe even putting something aside for retirement that was creeping up faster than I cared to admit. My name is Howard Brennan, I'm 49 years old, and I've been married to Susan for 22 years. Before I continue this story, let me tell you something about corporate America and what happens when they push the wrong guy too far. I'd been at Nexus Acquisitions for nearly 15 years. 15 years of early mornings and missed family dinners. 15 years of working weekends and canceling vacation plans to accommodate clients in different time zones. 15 years of proving myself in an industry where loyalty was supposed to mean something, where putting in your time was supposed to count for something. Nexus sold enterprise security solutions to major corporations. The kind of deals that take months, sometimes years to close. The kind where a standard 10% commission could set you up nicely as you approached your 50s and started thinking seriously about the next chapter of your life. I joined Nexus after leaving a smaller firm where the writing was on the wall. They were being acquired, and my position was redundant. At 34, with a mortgage and 2 young kids, Nexus seemed like the stable choice. Professional, established, the kind of place where hard work and results mattered more than office politics. For 15 years, I was right. I worked my way up from junior account manager to senior director of enterprise accounts. I was the guy they called when a deal was stuck, when a client was threatening to walk, when they needed someone who could build real relationships instead of just pushing product features. When Selene Technologies appeared on our radar, everyone said they were untouchable. They were revolutionizing medical imaging with AI, and their CEO, Diana Rodriguez, was known for being brilliant but impossible to impress. Selene had chewed up and spat out sales teams from every one of our competitors. "Don't waste your time," Brad had said. "Focus on the clients we can actually land." But I saw something in Selene that others missed. Their pain points weren't what everyone assumed. While other sales teams pitched them on cost saving and efficiency, I spent weeks researching their actual challenges: integration with legacy hospital systems, HIPAA compliance across international boundaries, the complexity of medical device regulations. For 3 months, I practically lived and breathed Selene. I talked to their mid-level managers, their tech team, even befriended their administrative staff. I learned about their frustrations, their goals for the company, the barriers preventing them from scaling globally. When I finally got my meeting with Diana, I didn't pitch. I presented solutions to problems she hadn't even shared publicly. I watched her face shift from skeptical to curious to genuinely impressed. "You actually understand what we're trying to do," she'd said, leaning forward in her chair. "That's refreshing." It took another 4 months of meetings, demonstrations, contract negotiations. I worked 70-hour weeks, missed my son's high school graduation ceremony, developed stress-related headaches that kept me up at night. But I did it. Selene signed a 5-year contract worth $5.2 million, the largest deal in Nexus history. The morning after the contract was finalized, I walked into the office feeling like I owned the world. People who'd barely nodded at me in the hallway were suddenly my best friends. The CFO sent a company-wide email congratulating me. My commission, my life-changing, debt-erasing, future-securing $520,000 would be paid out when Selene's first payment cleared, roughly 4 weeks away. That was yesterday. Today, Brad called me into his office. As always, he was wearing one of those expensive shirts that probably cost more than most people spend on groceries in a month. Brad was 38, brought in from outside 3 years ago to modernize our sales approach. He had an MBA from somewhere impressive and a habit of using buzzwords like they were magic spells. "Howard, fantastic work with Selene." His voice oozed artificial warmth. "Truly exceptional. The executive team is beyond impressed." I smiled, waiting for the inevitable but. With Brad, there was always a but. As you know, we're always evaluating our compensation structures to ensure they're aligned with market standards and our growth goals. He shuffled some papers, not making eye contact. For deals exceeding $5 million, we're implementing a new tiered commission structure. That's when he said it. Yours is now 1% instead of 10%. The room seemed to tilt. That wasn't in my contract, I managed to say, my voice sounding distant even to my own ears. It's a company-wide policy change. Effective immediately. He finally looked up, his smile not reaching his eyes. Think about it. $52,000 is still a substantial commission. Most people here would be thrilled with that kind of bonus. I sat perfectly still. 15 years of playing by the rules, of being the company man, of trusting that loyalty would be rewarded, stopping me from reaching across his desk and grabbing him by that expensive tie. Instead, I heard myself ask, was this planned before I closed Celine? Brad cleared his throat. The executive team has been discussing it for some time. The timing is unfortunate, I know. Unfortunate. As if he'd accidentally stepped on my toe rather than stolen nearly $500,000 from me. Congratulations again on landing the client, he said, dismissing me with that smirk. We're lucky to have you on the team. I nodded, stood up, and walked out without a word. My footsteps echoed against the polished floors as I made my way back to my desk, passing coworkers who had no idea I was imploding inside. I sat down, opened my laptop, and stared at my screen without seeing anything. They thought I would just take it because that's what guys like me do, right? We've got mortgages and families and we can't afford to make waves. We smile and nod and say thank you for the scraps. But here's what Brad didn't know. After 15 years in enterprise sales, I'd learned something crucial. The client relationship belongs to whoever nurtures it. Companies think they own the client, but clients follow people they trust. And Diana Rodriguez trusted me. 3 months earlier, I'd started the groundwork for my own consulting firm. Nothing that violated my non-compete, just basic business registration, website development, bank accounts. I'd called it Apex Strategic Solutions, specializing in exactly the kind of security integration services that companies like Celine needed. The plan had been to launch in about 2 years, after I'd built up enough savings and felt ready to take the leap. Now, sitting at my desk with rage burning through my chest, I realized I needed to accelerate everything. I reached for my phone and texted Diana. Any chance you're free for coffee tomorrow? Need to discuss something important about your implementation, she replied within minutes. 7:30 a.m. at Corner Cafe before my board meeting. I confirmed, then opened my laptop again, this time with purpose. I wasn't just angry, I was calculating. The contract with Celine had been signed, but the implementation hadn't begun. The first payment wasn't scheduled for 4 weeks. That night, I didn't sleep much. I reviewed my employment contract word by word. The non-compete was problematic, but not insurmountable. It prohibited me from soliciting Nexus clients for 12 months after leaving. But there was a crucial carve-out for clients who approached me independently or with whom I had a pre-existing relationship outside of Nexus. I also reviewed Celine's contract with Nexus. The language was specific about deliverables and timelines, but vague about which individuals would provide the services. There was no guarantee that I would personally oversee their implementation. By morning, I had a plan. Diana was already at Corner Cafe when I arrived, dressed impeccably as always, typing rapidly on her laptop. "This better be important," she said without looking up. "I've got board members flying in from Chicago in 2 hours." I sat down, my hands steady despite my racing heart. "Nexus is planning to assign a junior team to your implementation. I've been moved to a different division." This was a lie, but a necessary one. I watched her fingers freeze above her keyboard. "That wasn't what we discussed," she said slowly, finally looking at me. "I know. That's why I wanted to meet in person." I took a deep breath. "I'm leaving Nexus today, actually." Her eyes narrowed. "And you're telling me this why? Do you expect me to intervene with your management?" Number. I'm starting my own consulting firm specializing in exactly what Celine needs. I passed her my newly printed business card. "Your contract with Nexus has a 30-day cancellation clause with prorated fees. You haven't paid them anything yet." Diana picked up the card, studied it. "This is highly irregular, Howard. So is bait and switch staffing on a $5.2 million contract." I held her gaze. "You signed with Nexus because of me, because I took the time to understand what Celine actually needs. Do you think anyone else there has that knowledge?" She sighed, leaning back in her chair. "What exactly are you proposing?" Cancel with Nexus. Hire Apex. Hire me. For 15% less than what you agreed to pay them. You get the same service, save almost $780,000, and work directly with the person you trusted in the first place. And you get what? I get to build something of my own instead of making other people rich. I smiled. And yes, I get the satisfaction of knowing that Brad Thornton will have to explain to the executive team how he lost the biggest client in company history. Diana was quiet for a long moment, turning the business card over in her fingers. You know what I respect about you, Howard? You're just as strategic as I am. She slipped the card into her jacket pocket. Send me a proposal by end of day. Make it irresistible to my board. I walked out of Corner Cafe that morning with my heart pounding. For the first time in years, I felt something like control over my own destiny. I wasn't just another middle-aged employee swallowing his pride and carrying on. I was about to show Brad exactly who he'd underestimated. I walked into Nexus at 9 a.m., sat at my desk, and typed up my resignation letter. 2 sentences. Please accept this as formal notice of my resignation, effective immediately. I will not be requiring a reference. I emailed it to HR, CCing Brad. Then I drafted the proposal for Celine, my fingers flying across the keyboard with a clarity and purpose I hadn't felt in years. At 11:42 a.m., Brad appeared at my desk, his face flushed red beneath his perfect haircut. "What is this?" he demanded, holding up his phone with my resignation email. I smiled up at him, the kind of smile I reserved for people who thought they were cleverer than they actually were. I believe it's self-explanatory. You can't just quit in the middle of onboarding our biggest client. Actually, I can. There's nothing in my contract requiring notice. I continued gathering my few personal items into a small box. And regarding Celine, well, I'm sure whoever you assign will do their best. His eyes narrowed. This is about the commission change. I stood up, box in hand. This is about knowing my worth, Brad. Something Nexus clearly struggles with. If you think you can take Celine with you, think again. The non-compete is ironclad. Non-competes are practically unenforceable in this state, as I'm sure legal will tell you. I stepped around him. But I'm not soliciting any Nexus clients. That would be unethical. Brad followed me toward the exit, his voice rising. You'll regret this, Howard. No one walks away from an opportunity like Nexus. I stopped at the elevator, turning to face him one last time. That's where you're wrong. I'm not walking away from opportunity. I'm walking toward it. The elevator doors opened. As I stepped inside, I saw other employees watching, their expressions ranging from shock to barely concealed admiration. I gave Brad one last look. Congratulations on the new client, I said, echoing his words from yesterday as the doors closed between us. I walked out of Nexus headquarters that day with nothing but a cardboard box of family photos and a coffee mug Susan had given me for my 40th birthday. 15 years of my life left behind in 20 minutes. By the time I reached my car, I'd received 3 texts from coworkers, not asking if I was okay, but fishing for gossip. The truth, that I'd maintained perfect composure while my insides were churning with fear and determination, wasn't dramatic enough for them. I ignored them all and got to work. My home office became command central. I'd always kept it organized, but now it was mission critical. Laptop, notebooks, coffee maker moved upstairs. I had exactly 6 weeks of savings to live on before things would get tight. The proposal for Celine took me 12 hours straight. I outlined a 3-phase implementation plan that would save them money while delivering better results than what Nexus had promised. My hands were steady when I finally hit send at 1:15 a.m. Sleep came easier than I expected. For the first time in months, I wasn't dreading the next day. My phone pinged at 6:20 a.m. Diana, board meeting in an hour. Your proposal is compelling. 2 questions. How do we know you can deliver without Nexus resources? What about data security protocols? I texted back immediately. 1. Nexus outsources implementation to contractors I've worked with for years. I've already spoken with key specialists ready to join Apex. 2. I've partnered with CyberShield for better protection than Nexus offered. This was another calculated stretch. I hadn't spoken to anyone yet, but I knew exactly who to call. Diana sent back. Impressive. Sending contract to legal for review. Subject to their approval, we're moving forward with Apex. I sat at my kitchen table and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Genuine hope mixed with terror. Then I got back to work. By noon, I'd called Gary Phillips, the best systems architect I knew, who'd been doing contract work while looking for the right opportunity. He said yes before I finished explaining. Then came Michelle Foster, a security specialist who'd been undervalued at her current firm for years. She negotiated hard but agreed to join as a partner rather than an employee. Better for both of us at this stage. By evening, I had the beginnings of a real team. People who were excellent at their jobs but, like me, had been overlooked. People with something to prove. What I didn't have yet was any word from Nexus. No angry calls from Brad, no legal threats, just silence. That changed the next morning. My phone rang at 7:25 a.m. Unknown number. Howard Brennan. Mr. Brennan, this is Patricia Coleman, General Counsel for Nexus Acquisitions. Her voice was precisely what you'd expect from a corporate attorney. Measured, slightly bored, with an undercurrent of steel. I'm calling regarding some concerning information that's come to our attention. My heart rate doubled, but I kept my voice steady. What information would that be? We've been informed that Selene Technologies is considering terminating their contract with Nexus, apparently after communication with you. Given your non-compete agreement, this raises serious legal concerns. I took a slow breath. This was expected. Ms. Coleman, I understand your position, but I haven't violated my non-compete. I haven't solicited any Nexus clients. We have documentation of your meeting with Diana Rodriguez the morning after you learned about your revised commission structure. Someone had seen us at the cafe. That meeting was at Ms. Rodriguez's request to discuss implementation concerns. As for any business she might do with my consulting firm, that would fall under the pre-existing relationship exemption in Section 4.3 of my employment agreement. I knew Ms. Rodriguez professionally before she came to Selene. This was technically true. I'd met Diana at an industry conference 2 years before she joined Selene. We'd exchanged business cards. Silence on the other end. I'd done my homework better than they expected. Nevertheless, Patricia finally continued, Nexus is prepared to take this matter to court if necessary. The timing is, at minimum, suspicious. I understand. And Nexus is certainly within its rights to pursue litigation, just as I'm within my rights to share with the court documentation of how my commission was retroactively slashed after landing the largest contract in company history. I'm sure that would make for interesting coverage in the industry press. Another long pause. They were scared. Not of losing the legal battle, which they might well win, but of the public relations nightmare. Mr. Brennan, perhaps there's a way to resolve this situation amicably. Would you be open to discussing terms? I'm always open to reasonable discussion. My terms are simple. Nexus agrees not to pursue any legal action against me or my company, and I agree not to publicly discuss the circumstances of my departure. And Selene is free to work with whatever vendor they choose. That's not something either of us can control. I could practically hear her calculating the risks. Finally, I'll present this to the executive team. Expect to hear from me by end of day. 3 hours later, a courier delivered a settlement agreement releasing me from my non-compete in exchange for my silence about the commission structure. I signed immediately. By the end of the week, Selene had officially terminated their contract with Nexus and signed with Apex Strategic Solutions. The first payment, $4.42 million, with the 15% discount I'd promised Diana, hit my business account the following Monday. I thought I'd feel vindicated. Instead, I felt the weight of responsibility. Now, I actually had to deliver. The next 6 months were the most challenging of my career. Gary, Michelle, and I worked around the clock, operating out of a rented office space until we could afford something better. I developed stress headaches again, but this time they felt different, earned, purposeful. Slowly, methodically, it started working. Selene's implementation went smoother than anyone expected. Diana, never one to give praise easily, told me our team accomplished in 6 months what would have taken Nexus a full year. Word spread in our industry. When you deliver for a company like Selene, other companies notice. 8 months after leaving Nexus, we landed our second client. 10 months after that, our third and fourth. By the 12-month mark, we had 7 clients and a real office with 12 full-time employees. I finally started sleeping more than 5 hours a night again. I hadn't heard anything about Brad or Nexus until Andrea Walsh, my former colleague, asked me to meet for coffee. We met at the same cafe where I'd first pitched Diana on working with Apex. So, Andrea said after we'd ordered, you probably haven't heard. Brad got fired last month. I nearly choked on my coffee. What happened? Andrea leaned forward, clearly enjoying being the bearer of news. After you left with Celine, he promised the executive team he'd replace that revenue within 6 months. Kept telling everyone he had big deals in the pipeline. She paused for effect. Meanwhile, 3 more enterprise clients didn't renew their contracts. They'd worked with you before and didn't even consider staying with Nexus. I shook my head. I didn't reach out to any of them. No, but their contracts were up for renewal, and they remembered who they'd actually worked with. Word is Nexus is down almost $9 million in projected annual revenue. I sat back, processing this. I'd been so focused on building Apex that I hadn't thought about the impact on Nexus. How's morale? Terrible. They cut commission structures across the board. 5 more salespeople have quit. She grinned. Oh, and they tried to recruit me to take over your old accounts. I told them I was joining Apex instead. My eyes widened. Your what? If the offer still stands? Your LinkedIn post said you were hiring business development managers. I found myself laughing. Genuine, deep laughter that felt good after months of stress. The offer definitely stands. As we shook hands to seal the deal, my phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. It's Brad. Can we talk? I've got a business proposition. I showed Andrea the text. Her eyes went wide. Are you going to respond? I thought about it for a moment. About all the nights I'd lain awake thinking of things I wished I'd said to him. About the satisfaction I'd imagined feeling at his downfall. But looking at his text now, I felt nothing. Not anger, not vindication, just emptiness. I put my phone away without responding. Not worth my time. 2 weeks later, I received a LinkedIn message from Brad. Howard, I've started my own consulting firm and would value your advice. Maybe we could partner on some projects. Let's put the past behind us. I almost laughed out loud. The audacity was remarkable. After everything, he genuinely thought I might help him. I wrote back a single line. I don't think our compensation philosophies would be compatible. Then I blocked him. 1 year to the day after I walked out of Nexus, Apex Strategic Solutions moved into our permanent offices, 8th floor of a downtown building with conference rooms that actually had windows and a view of the river. We had 15 employees, 11 clients, and had just closed our first $6 million contract. That evening, after everyone had gone home, I sat in my office in my company, looking out at the city lights. My phone pinged with a text from Diana. Heard about the Harrison Industries contract? Well done. You should be proud. I wrote back, learning from the best. She responded with a simple thumbs up that, coming from her, felt like a standing ovation. I leaned back in my chair and finally let myself feel it all. The fear, the exhaustion, the wild, improbable success of it all. What happened with Nexus wasn't really about the money. It was about being valued, respected, recognized for what I'd built rather than having it taken from me. In trying to save themselves $500,000, they'd lost millions and created their biggest competitor. The irony wasn't lost on me. That night, as I was leaving the office, I passed the wall where we'd hung our company values. The first one read, "Fair compensation reflects real contribution." Below it was our commission structure, transparent, equitable, and guaranteed in writing. Every employee knew exactly what they'd earn, and we'd never changed the terms after someone delivered results. Brad's betrayal, it turned out, wasn't just my liberation from Nexus. It was clarity about the kind of leader I wanted to be, the kind who remembers what it feels like to be undervalued, the kind who builds others up rather than standing on their backs, the kind who knows that true success isn't measured by how much you take, but by how much you create. 3 years later, Apex Strategic Solutions has 28 employees and annual revenue of $18 million. We've never had a single employee leave for a competitor. Our commission structure remains unchanged, and our client retention rate is 94%. Susan drives a new car now. Both kids graduated college debt-free. We put a down payment on a lake house where we spend weekends, and for the first time in my adult life, I'm not worried about retirement. More importantly, I sleep well at night knowing that the people who work for me are treated fairly. When Gary Phillips closed a $4 million deal last year, his commission was exactly what we'd promised. No surprises, no retroactive policy changes. Looking back now, I sometimes think I should thank Brad. In trying to diminish me, he accidentally set me free. He showed me that loyalty to a company that doesn't value you is just another form of self-betrayal, but I think I'll save that thank you note for another lifetime. The best revenge, it turns out, isn't success. It's building something so much better that your former employer becomes irrelevant. It's creating the kind of workplace you always wished you had. It's proving that treating people with respect and fairness isn't just the right thing to do, it's the profitable thing to do. And sometimes, when I'm having a particularly good day, I'll check Nexus's website just to see how they're doing. Last I looked, they'd been acquired by a larger firm. Brad Thornton's name appears nowhere on their leadership page. Howard Brennan, on the other hand, is exactly where he belongs. Sometimes the greatest gift your enemies can give you is showing you exactly who you don't want to become. The moment they try to break you is often the moment you discover just how unbreakable you really are.